only you Christians could do this, was a statement made by one of the governors of India. Sister Rani Maria, a few years ago, when she was working among the poor in one of the states in India called Madhya Pradesh. It was in the central part of India. Because she was working for the poor, working for the empowerment of women and the downtrodden, some high caste and the wealthy people conspired to eliminate her. So they hired someone who stabbed her to death as she was traveling in a bus at night in front of all the other passengers. That's not the main story that I am insisting upon. The murderer was convicted, put in the prison for life imprisonment. A year later, Sister Rani Maria's mother and her sister, who is also a nun in another congregation, they went to see him in the prison. They met him on sometime in August. There is a Hindu festival where a woman ties a wristband called Rakhi and accepts the other as their brother. So Sister Rani Maria's younger sister, who is a nun, as well as her mother, both went to the prison, met this convict who is in prison for life imprisonment, embraced him, and Sister Rani Maria's sister tied the Rakhi, the wristband, and said, "You are our brother. We have forgiven you." And the mother also did the same. And then they went to the governor of the state submitting a petition to release him in advance, release him from the prison in advance. And the governor made this statement, "Only you Christians could do this," because he said, "We have forgiven him and we have accepted him as one of our brother, a son in the family." The story goes that he became a Christian. He went to Sister Rani Maria's place in her family, and then he became a member of the family. Why I say that today's readings remind us the vocation that we have as Christians. Contrary to the world that propagates, who are powerful, wealthy, those who are money, those who are such are the powerful people could do anything. But just contrary to that, we as Christians are called to live a life that is much more challenging. But as Christians, are we able to live that vocation? Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are they who mourn. Blessed are the meek. These are the virtues not the world propagates. These are the virtues Christianity, Christ is inviting us to live. It's easy to preach, but very difficult to practice it. Sister Rani Mary's mothers as well as her sister practiced this virtue of forgiveness. In the world, they were looked at very weak, but that witness was very powerful. Even the governor of the state, who is a Hindu Brahmin, who said, Mr. Balram Jakar, he said, "You, only Christians like you could do this." That message continues to live even today, inviting, inspiring Christians to become even more witnessing. Some years ago, when the present government, the right-wing government came to power, there was a lot of hue and cry. Christians will be persecuted and so on. Indeed, that has come true. Christians are being persecuted in various ways. But among us, there was a talk among Christians, this will give us the platform to live the Beatitudes even more in a real way. Mahatma Gandhi once said, I'm looking for Christians who live these Beatitudes in reality, and I want to become a Christian myself. He was inspired by the Sermon on the Mount, and he said, when he was living in South Africa, where Christianity is much more prevalent, he said that I'm so inspired by the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount, but I am looking for one Christian who live this in reality, and I will be the next one to live that. So, dear brothers, as we reflect on this Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount is the goal directive norms for us given by Jesus Christ. They are not an end in by themselves. Very difficult for us to live in a real way. But Jesus promises us, if we take up that life, the real happiness will come not in acquiring, not in having power, not in worldly wealth, but being humble, being seeking the mercy of God, and by surrendering ourselves to the will of God, which will bring us a lot of hardships, challenges, persecutions. But that is what will give us lasting happiness. Let us seek that lasting happiness in following the Beatitudes as ambassadors of Christ in this world as we continue our journey in bearing witness to Christ and his love. Amen.